Hey everyone, Joe Guzzo here, and welcome to Folk Project Television. Today I have a friend that is a longtime member of the Folk Project, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Sam Edelston is here with us today, and he's playing an instrument that most of us have never tried, the dulcimer. And not just one kind, but many kinds of dulcimer that he teaches. He plays, he sings along, he's done so much stuff, and his website, his YouTube channel have a lot of programming on those channels where you can enjoy some of that music that he plays. So why don't we get right to it, everyone? Here's Sam.
Hi there, everyone. It's great to meet you.
Hey Sam, how are you today?
Wonderful. Yourself, Joe?
I can't complain.
Nobody
I can't
listen?
complain. I want to give everybody the opportunity to understand a little bit about what motivated you to become a dulcimer player. Why? Why the dulcimer?
Okay. That's a great question to start out with because it took 30 years to happen. When I was a teenager, I started writing songs, and my mother quickly switched me from the loud piano that was right outside the kitchen onto the guitar. And so I was a guitarist, and I got pretty good at the guitar as a teenager. I got into folk music as a teenager. I discovered the Folk Project while I was in high school. And through folk music in general, I discovered the mountain dulcimer and the hammered dulcimer. Now, I was a very fancy type of fingerstyle guitarist, and I liked the idea of being able to play like a melody and accompaniment at the same time. And I saw the mountain dulcimer and thought, you can't do anything interesting with only 3 strings and with so many frets missing. And so I had no real interest in the mountain dulcimer at the time, but I fell in love with the sound of the hammered dulcimer, and I became a hammered dulcimer groupie. And I started going eventually to dulcimer festivals and playing guitar accompaniment with some of the best hammered dulcimer players around. And this happened for, about 15 years or so. And then I finally broke down and bought a hammered dulcimer. Still no interest whatsoever in the mountain dulcimer. Sometimes I would even go back to my tent when the mountain dulcimer featured artist would come on at a festival. I will confess I did that a couple of times. But through a chain of events, basically, I found myself as the chair of a new dulcimer festival that we were starting here in Connecticut, the Nutmeg Dulcimer Festival. And as the chair, I felt it was incumbent on me to become acquainted with the other side of the family. So I went to a dulcimer festival, I checked out every dulcimer in the room, and I bought the one that spoke to me the most. And I'm sure I played You Are My Sunshine on it, I'm sure I played My Old Kentucky Home. But then I started sort of messing around, and Mellow Yellow came out of it. And Bang a Gong, the old T-Rex rock hit, came out of it. And I started thinking, this is really a much more interesting instrument than I ever anticipated. I call that my green eggs and ham moment. Hey, I like green eggs and ham. The mountain dulcimer weighs practically nothing. It takes no time to tune. And you can do all kinds of really cool stuff on it. I was shocked, I was amazed, and I just kept on coming back to it. And one thing led to another, and here I am.
Well, I'm glad we've got you on the show today, and I'm glad that you're going to demonstrate your incredible talent on that instrument. I have listened to quite a few of the songs that you have on your YouTube channel, and I have probably got an inkling of the amount of talent that it takes to learn the variations of instruments that you're playing, including the guitar, which you started on. So kudos to you on that.
Well, thank you. Now, the amazing thing about mountain dulcimers, and I think for this show, I'll mostly just say dulcimers as a generic term, and we'll assume that hammered dulcimers are, in general, not being talked about. So the amazing thing about dulcimers is that I could have a total newbie playing interesting songs on one in 3 minutes. It's such a simple instrument to pick up. And in fact, on a typical one, it's just got diatonic notes. It's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do on any given string. So you can basically, if you choose the right song, you can pick out a tune. You don't have to worry about any of the mistake notes being on it, unlike say, a guitar or ukulele. So
Now, what I'd like you to do is to tell us a little bit about the first song that you want to do, and then go ahead and play it for us.
okay, so first song I'm going to do is I feel it's always important because I do a lot of non-traditional music. It's important to establish my legitimate folky cred if I'm doing some sort of a folk concert or folk show. And so I'm going to start with a Gene Ritchie song called "The L&N Don't Stop Here Anymore." This is a song about strip mining, coal mining down in Kentucky, where Gene Ritchie was from. Gene Ritchie is the woman who really brought her mountain dulcimer to New York City in the 1930s or 40s, and really brought this obscure, almost forgotten instrument to prominence in the New York folk music scene. She introduced a lot of people to it over the decades, and she passed away, something about 10 years or so ago. I got to meet her once. A lot of people owe their interest in the mountain dulcimer to her. So this is one of her songs. The first place I remember specifically hearing it was John McCutcheon played it in concert a few years ago, and it just sort of haunted me. So this is a baritone dulcimer. It's tuned low to high, A, E, A, as opposed to a standard dulcimer that would be tuned low to high, D, A, D. And we've got one of them coming up a little later in the program. So here we are with "The L&N Don't Stop Here Anymore." When I was a curly-headed baby, my daddy sat me down upon his knee. He said, "Boy, you go to school, you learn your letters. Don't become no dusty miner boy like me." I was born and raised in the mouth of a hazard holler, where coal cars rolled and rumbled past my door. But now they stand in a rusty row of empties, 'cause the L&N, it don't stop here anymore. I used to think my daddy was a black man with scrip enough to buy the company store. But now he goes to town with empty pockets, and his face is white like February snow. I was born and raised in the mouth of a hazard holler, where coal cars roll and rumble past my door. But now they stand in a rusty row of empties, 'cause the L&N, it don't stop here anymore. I never thought I'd ever learn to love the coal dust. I never thought I'd crave to hear the tipples roar. But God, I wish the grass would turn to greenbacks, so I'd have money in my pockets forevermore. I was born and raised in the mouth of a hazard holler, where coal cars rolled and rumbled past my door. But now they stand in a rusty row of empties, 'cause the L&N, it don't stop here anymore. Last night I dreamed I went down to the office to collect my payday like I'd done before. But there was kudzu vines growing across the doorway, and weeds and trees growing right up to the floor. I was born and raised in the mouth of a hazard holler, where coal cars rolled and rumbled past my door. But now I'm standing in a rusty row of empties, 'cause the L&N, it don't stop here anymore. Oh, the L&N, it don't stop here anymore.
Great song. Thank you.
Tell it was written by somebody who has been there and knows what it's all about.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's truly a well. It takes you on a journey, on a person's life trip. It gives you some feelings upon which to base, what you're hearing, and you brings it to life for you. So it's songs like that are rare, and that's a very well created song, and you performed it sparkling job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you'd been, and I might have mentioned it also, that you had been a Folk Project member for a very long time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with the Folk Project and about your first performance?
Okay, yes. So I had a friend. Am I allowed to name names?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I had a high school friend named Mara Edelston, and she was just a little bit older than me, but she came from sort of a folk music family, it turned out. And one day when I was in like 11th grade, she said, "Hey Sam, there's going to be a folk festival." Such and such a date in June, and would you like to come along? A bunch of us are going. It was going to be the Middletown Folk Festival in Middletown, New Jersey. It's not far from, I don't know what it's called now. The former Garden State Art Center is at PNC now.
Yeah, PNC Art Center.
Not terribly far from there, and so we caravanned down in, I think it was even my car, and I went to a concert and discovered folk music from this, and just heard an amazing array of musicians from just worlds that I had never imagined, because I was accustomed to top 40 radio, and WCBS FM, the oldies station in New York, was still playing a lot of 50s music and 60s music. It was the early 70s, or mid 70s at this point. I had been playing guitar for a few years by this point. And so I got into going to folk festivals a little bit. She told me about the June Days Folk Festival that used to be in West Orange, sponsored by a neighboring organization, the Folk Music Society of Northern New Jersey. And she told me about this coffee house that was way out in a town called Chester that I had never heard of. Now, on Friday nights, there was one thing at this coffee house, and then on Saturday nights, it was another. So we went to a Saturday show, which was a coffee house called Euphonia, and the featured act was the Split Rock Rhythm Band, which was sort of a hot thing in Jersey folk circles at the time. And then we went back another night, and I don't remember who the performer was, but it was what was then called the Minstrel Show, which was run by the Folk Project. It was downstairs in I think it was an Italian or French restaurant. And one thing led to another. I joined the folk project. I went to a couple of evenings of music, which is where people in normal times, not right now, but in normal times sit around the living room or the bedroom or a bunch of different rooms in somebody's house and just take turns playing songs and jamming along, accompanying each other. And I got invited also that summer to be a warm-up act at again, it was then called the Minstrel Show. So I had my first folk project gig in 1976. I was opening for Ken and Pat Ralston, who are still actively performing and members of the folk project also.
Yeah, the folk project's been around for quite some time now. In fact, originally it wasn't even called that. It was called Project 21. And we've had a number of people on the program. One in particular, Mike Agranoff, who was one of the founding members of Project 21. Today, Mike still runs what we call the Troubadour now, which was morphed from the original minstrel show, the Minstrel. And because of the negative connotations of the word minstrel, they decided it's probably a good idea to change that. And I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
Now,
actually, it was sort of a two-step thing. Probably somewhere around 1990, it was shortened from minstrel show, which had the real specific connotations of that form of theater, shortened to minstrel, where they had sort of in mind that idea of the medieval minstrel traveling from town to town. And then in more recent years, a few years ago, they shortened it further. They changed it further to the Troubadour.
right. And that's exactly the sort of change that we're seeing all over the place. It's not just happening with our folk project. Now, since you did start playing in the 70s, what kind of music did you originally play?
I was playing mostly things, well, two things. Mostly things I heard on the radio, and also I was a very prolific songwriter. I was writing about 10 songs a month from 8th grade through the end of high school. And yeah, if you do the math, I had over 400 songs written before I finished high school.
It's pretty significant numbers.
It just seemed like the thing to do.
Yeah, I go back and I look at some of the songs I wrote during the same time in my life, and I would never be able to perform those songs today, only because the innocence, it's almost too innocent. So that's my lyrics anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
some of my songs from the 70s still hold up really great. Even now that I'm a silver hair. In fact, some of them have gotten better with the voice of age. But I did all my writing for those songs on the guitar or occasionally the banjo, and haven't adapted them to the dulcimer.
now you have.
Oh, I didn't finish answering your question.
Oh, go ahead.
So the other thing I was playing is what I heard on the radio, which was top 40, and country, and what was then oldies, in other words, 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm. So that was the bulk of my repertoire, and I did some folk songs also. Once I discovered folk music, I picked up just other odds and ends around. I had a beautiful arrangement of the William Tell Overture and the Can-Can and what I call Bugs Bunny classical music, the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy.
Was there any particular artist or performer, the one that kind of inspired you more than any other?
On the guitar or on songwriting or what?
Whatever one sparked the most creativity out of your.
Okay. Well, so I'm going to give you two answers to that. First, songwriting. I had three idols in my formative days of songwriting. One of them was Tom Lehrer, the brilliant humorist. Second one was Shel Silverstein, who I only knew of at the time as a songwriter. I didn't know that he was a cartoonist and a poet and things of that sort. But I loved Shel Silverstein because he was funny, and also he could write songs that would run a chill up my spine. And the third one was somebody a little less known named Dick Feller. And Dick Feller also straddled between funny songs and run a chill up your run a chill up your spine type of serious songs. And also, he and Shel Silverstein both had great story songs. So the three of them were my triumvirate of songwriting inspirations. As far as music, actually, I was a big Elvis fan. I had a great Chuck Berry songbook. And once I discovered folk music, you mentioned Mike Agronoff. He was actually sort of one of my music idols. And because he was farther along than I was at playing fancy guitar instrumentals, and he played banjo, and he sang funny songs, and he sang serious songs. And so he was like the complete folk musician, compleat, and so I sort of wanted to be, I guess the slogan is I want to be like Mike, although not specifically imitating, but he was an inspiration in terms of being complete.
Now I'm gonna bring a video on from your YouTube channel. It's a song that us rock and rollers from the late 60s and early 70s will know quite well, called Whole Lotta Love. And I was really impressed. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that came to be? And then I'll play that song in its entirety for our fans, and then we'll come back.
Okay. Well, this is a funny story. So I am a musical omnivore. And one thing that inspires me is I get a lot of inspiration from a cappella. And there's an a cappella group called The Bobs that does a lot of original songs, and they did a CD of cover songs. And one of the songs on that happened to be Whole Lotta Love. Now, I was aware of Led Zeppelin. I had a single of Black Dog. I had heard Stairway to Heaven and a couple of their other songs, but I didn't have at the time any special knowledge of Led Zeppelin. But I thought, hey, this song would really be kind of interesting on the dulcimer. And so I messed around with it, and it worked. And so I had this, I'm not on the right dulcimer for it, but it's got that kind of riff that goes on for the whole song, basically. And I started putting that together with the melody and came up with this nice arrangement of it. Now, by this time, I had had a YouTube channel for a couple of years, and I thought, well, I've got an electric dulcimer now. I've got a bunch of pedals underneath. I wonder what I can do with it. And I spent a couple of nights trying to combine pedals together in interesting ways to bring out the melody and keep the riff going on underneath it. And some of the pedals on my pedal board just sort of combined in a magical way that created a Phil Spector's type of wall of sound in the background, to the extent that apparently some people didn't really believe that all this sound was coming out of just one little three-stringed instrument. So I've never quite understood exactly what caused the lightning that caused this song to actually go viral. Virality is a cosmic gift that just happens to you. You can't make it happen. You can't control it. But it's an amazing discovery when all of a sudden you notice you've got comments on your YouTube notifications that you didn't know about.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we let the viewers have a
Okay.
little touch of that song, and
Bring it on.
We'll come right back.
Bring it on.
All right, all right. It's good hearing that song again after all these years too. You did a great job on it. I know we had a number of things that I promised I wanted to talk about today, in addition to what you're doing as far as your music. But I think what really makes me curious the most is what your mission is as far as you know the where you want to take dulcimer as far as making people aware of it and making people giving them the story of the dulcimer. You know, tell me a little bit about what that is, and I apologize for the ringing of my phone in the background. My wife is getting that for me.
Well, welcome to life during the pandemic.
That's right.
Okay. So as I said, I had my green eggs and ham moment. I basically realized that dulcimers are interesting, and as you mentioned, I play all kinds of music on it, just tremendous variety, and I've come to understand that mountain dulcimers with only 3 strings and typically with about 1/3 fewer frets than a typical, stringed instrument. It's a more logical first stringed instrument than, say, a guitar or ukulele. I tell people a guitar has 6 strings, you have 5 fingers, you are outnumbered. Dulcimer has 3 strings, you have 5 fingers. Nice student-faculty ratio. And in a guitar, you set up like this, and this is about as far as you can reach with your fingers. Dulcimer, I can reach a lot farther, and I've got all 5 fingers available so that I can really play more intricate things. But yet at the same time, I could play just a simple melody without even thinking about it. I've got a friend who is a middle school music teacher. She's got an after-school dulcimer club, and some of her kids have won statewide composition prizes in 8th grade for what they've made up on the dulcimer. It's just a great instrument that deserves to be played by millions of people. And that means not just 50s rock music, not just 70s classic rock. It's relevant to the music of today also. When somebody comes up to me and asks me about the dulcimer, and they'll ask me to play a song on it if I've got it out, I'll say, okay, what kind of music do you love? And I'll play them something in line with what they love. You want country, I'll play you country. You want Motown, I'll play you Motown. You want metal, I'll play you metal.
Your songs do come from all walks of life, as it were. And one of the things that you had mentioned to me was that you suggested that we all listen to, and I show everyone a video of you performing an old Flat and Scruggs cover song. And that's the Foggy Mountain Breakdown, I believe is the name of it. And I'm going to play that for our audience in a few seconds. But do you have any intro for that? Anything you might want to mention about it?
Oh gosh, there's a long story behind how I got there, but basically, to make the long story really short, there are a number of people who have been playing bluegrass on the mountain dulcimer for a long time. But to me, it ain't bluegrass if you can't hear the banjo. And so I learned how to play Scruggs style on the 3-string mountain dulcimer, and it's much more difficult to play on 3 strings than on 5. So basically, I learned this thing that's technically almost impossible to do and got it up to bluegrass speed. Have fun listening to it.
We're going to do that right now. I'm just flabbergasted, just the amount of skill it takes to play that speed with that type of song. I mean, bluegrass is always a challenge to play, even on a guitar. And if you're not used to it anyway, once you're used to it, it probably becomes easier. But I know that if I want to play something, there's a song called Nowhere in Time that I absolutely love that didn't start out as bluegrass, but it became bluegrass because it became very popular with that crowd. And learning how to play it at that speed was challenging. My arms would ache after a while. So it became a very clearly challenging thing to me. So I can imagine how much work it took for you to master getting that speed and getting that sound the way you wanted it.
Well, if I want to perform that song, I have to do warm-ups first.
Now, let's go back to stuff that you would probably find easier to play, and that's your own music. Now, since you have an interest in many different things, what are the songs you wrote and is one of the ones that you said you'd like to have presented to our viewers today was, I believe it was called 10 Times a Day.
Yeah, it's not about what you think it is. So every once in a while, the world just hands you something that has to get written into a song. And this is actually based on a true story. Practically nothing, in fact, nothing in the song is made up, though a couple of things are slightly exaggerated. But I have a song, well, I have a motto, which is never piss off a songwriter. And this is about somebody who did. It's 8 a.m. on Monday here in New York, but somehow in Texas you've been up since 5. Then again, you've done a few things that bewilder me, such as making me aware that you're alive. I think I know your name, and I think that you're a female, and I have no idea how you got hold of my email, but you used it when you signed up for your home security system. Now I'm looking like a fool as I swear at my computer as the victim, 'cause now about 10 times a day, when your alarm turns off or on, I get email notifications from my identity thief. Hello, tech support. I hope I've got the right department. Your menu has no choice for folks like me. Someone fraudulently used my email address when she signed with you for home security. I know it's not an accident. Her name does not resemble mine. She also used my email to do several other things online. When you emailed her contract, I'm the one you sent it to. Her address, phone, and autograph, I happily will forward them as proof. 'Cause now about 10 times a day, when her alarm turns off or on, I get email notifications from my identity thief. What illicit things are you hiding? What could explain the curious hours that you keep? How much do the neighbors suspect? And how come after all these weeks you can't stop tripping your alarm? Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line and it will be answered in the order in which it was received. Escalated fraud team, yeah, it's me again. You said my email's off of her account, but somewhere there's a table in your database where you haven't managed yet to get me out. I've forwarded you messages and affidavits too. I spent so much time on hold with you. I've learned the blasted tune. Should my next call be the FTC, Rod Serling, or the cops? I've begun to think she wants this. I'm waiting for some other shoe to drop. Cause still about 10 times a day, when her alarm turns off or on, I get email notifications from my identity thief.
That
There are
is,
no bonus points for guessing whose hold music that was.
I think it was everybody's hold music. I've heard that express those exact words so many times in so many different companies.
I did learn their tune.
That's a very disturbing story, and no one should have to experience that sort of aggravation. And I'm sure it was aggravating.
Fortunately, no other shoe dropped.
Good, good. Can I assume that you no longer get those alarm messages?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, good.
Thank goodness.
Now, 10 times a day is definitely comes from your life. But there are probably other things in your life that you might want to talk about, such as that wonderful family of yours. So why don't you do that and tell us about them?
Okay, so first of all, my wonderful wife Robin and I have been together for now, I guess I can say 40 years, and in fact, come back to the Folk Project. She's been coming with me to the Folk Project festival now called the Folk Project Getaway since 1982. So it is 40 years. We have only missed one during that time, and that's because we were away on our honeymoon. We've got 3 wonderful, amazing kids. Oh, by the way, my wife is musical. She was a music major. She sings in an a cappella group to this day. So we've got 3 amazing, wonderful, and talented kids, and one of them is a lighting designer who does a lot of concerts by people we grew up listening to, and another one is a computer programmer, although he also plays about 5 or 6 musical instruments, so it's okay, he sort of got the music gene too. And the third one, actually, I'll mention by name specifically because Juliana Parker is going to be the warm-up act at the Troubadour at the end of this month, April. And she's a Berkeley-educated singer-songwriter, and she's got what it takes. She just needs the right breaks. An amazing musician and performer.
I can appreciate the challenges that our younger artists go through in order to, I'll use the little air quotes here, make it in the industry. And it goes with any industry to do with music or performance arts. My own granddaughter, after spending 2 years on Broadway, now she, because she's at that awkward age of older teenager, not quite an adult, not quite a little kid anymore, she has trouble getting time on stage. So I guess that's the same for everybody, but the breaks will come. The talent is there. You're definitely going to see something happen at some point in time. Now, when we talk about things that you do, one of the things that I want everybody to be aware of is if you have some upcoming gigs, and why don't you tell us about them? And I'll make sure that this gets posted also as a postscript on our comment section of this channel, so that people, if they want to come back and reference the comments, and they can see when things are and times and dates and all that stuff. Why don't you tell us about those?
Well, the one that's most proximate to the Folk Project is I'm going to be featured at the Troubadour on June 17th of this year. and I am thrilled about that. This is my first time being featured there, and I've got some special things that will be worked up, for the concert. And so it'll be some of my greatest hits, and also some new material people haven't heard before. In addition to that, the other things that I have coming. Oh, by the way, the Troubadour thing is going to be webcast also for your remote viewers. Other things that I have coming up at the moment are mostly for the dulcimer crowd. So there's the Pocono Dulcimer Festival in Pennsylvania, just over the Delaware River, on April 23rd. I'll be at Kentucky Music Week, which is actually in Kentucky, down near Louisville, I understand, this year, at the end of June. So those are the ones that are coming up next in the schedule. And this fall, we will have the Nutmeg Dulcimer Festival. We don't know yet whether it'll be in person or online, so I can't give you the information on it, but nutmegdulcimer.com is the place to find out all the updates on that.
Right, and I'm also going to be listing a number of websites that you've supplied to me already. The first one is your samthemusicman.com website, and on there
people I didn't name that, my wife did.
Okay, well, I think it's a great name, and kudos to her for that. Now, people want to find out about you, that's the place to start. But it's not the only place. You have other things out there that if people want to hear your music or catch one of your over 80 videos, you can certainly have them go to the YouTube channel, which is Contemporary Dulcimer, and I'll put that up on the screen also as a banner. So if folks want to see that, they can click on that. And you have a Facebook page, which is Sam Edelston Music. So we'll be looking to put that up on the screen as well. So folks will have
put the spelling of that in the description, because nobody can spell my name.
Oh, I'll have that actually. I'll put it as in the comments section as a clickable link, which makes it even easier. Now I have a slew of notes over here that I want folks to know that I can't do this without a net, because I will definitely fall on my face, and I want to make sure I get everything in that we found of interest prior to our meeting today. You have one other song and alluded to a more recent piece of music that I want people to hear you do, and that is a piece of music by Kelly Clarkson. And because you can't seem to, you said you struggle remembering her name, so I figured I'll cut that out for you.
Yeah, for some reason I always want to reverse her initials and then wait a second. Who is it with a C as the first initial?
Yeah, Kellyson, yes.
Kelly Clarkson, yes. So as I said, I'm a musical omnivore, and I was listening, I guess, to a country station a couple of years ago, and heard this song, and it just bowled me over. And I don't feel that it applies to me, but as a songwriter, I feel that it's important to me to be able to sort of leap into the personalities of other people, and I love casting against type. And so this is the song Broken and Beautiful. It's actually from the movie Ugly Dolls. And so I dedicate this to all the people who do feel that they are broken, and assure them that they are beautiful. Never put my hand out, never asked for something free. I got pride I could roll out for miles in front of me. I don't need your help, and I don't need sympathy. I don't need you to lower the bar for me. I know I'm Superman, I know I'm strong. I know I got this, 'cause I've had it all along. I know I'm phenomenal, I'm enough. I don't need you to tell me who to be. But can someone just hold me? Don't fix me, don't try to change a thing. Can someone just know me? 'Cause underneath I'm broken and it's beautiful. 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 We walk on the ocean. We turn water into wine. We bury our emotions and pretend that we're all fine. The only way to make it now is to know you're gonna fly. Don't listen to those lying liars and their lies. I know I'm Superman. I know I'm strong. I got this 'cause I've had it all along. I'm phenomenal, I'm enough. I don't need you to tell me who to be. But can someone just hold me? Don't fix me, don't try to change a thing. Can someone just know me? 'Cause underneath I'm broken and it's beautiful. 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 I'm tired. Can't I just be tired without piling on all sad and scared and out of time? I'm wild. Can't I just be wild without feeling like I'm failing and I'm losing my mind? Can someone just hold me? Don't fix me, don't try to change a thing. Can someone just know me? 'Cause underneath I'm broken and it's beautiful. 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 Beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful, yeah. Beautiful, oh, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful.
Nice job. Nice job. Great
I'm
song.
looking forward to being able to perform that in front of a sing-along type of an audience and getting like 2 or 3 parts going on in the coda there.
That's, there are elements of that song that I've heard in other songs, of course, but I think the message is, most important is it's okay to not be perfect.
And also, something I find as a dulcimer teacher, I find this in some of the workshops I teach. A lot of people feel that they are under a microscope. As a musician, you notice every mistake you make when you're playing the guitar. I notice every mistake when I'm playing, and everybody else is acutely aware of their own mistakes when they're playing or walking down the street having a conversation with somebody or doing anything else in their lives. You notice all of your own mistakes, but the other people don't notice.
Well, we are our own harshest critics.
Absolutely. And just getting people to understand the fact that they are not under the microscope from other people the way that they think they are is just such an important breakthrough. I teach that in some of my music workshops, and certainly it applies to real life also. A lot of teenagers probably could benefit from understanding that.
No, I know I could have, that's for sure. In fact,
there's nothing in my life that happened before I had kids that I regret, because if things had been any different, I wouldn't have had the same amazing kids.
Right. I think that those experiences help you to teach your children what to avoid, the pitfalls and this is the bear trap that caught me. Don't you get caught in the same one. So yeah, it's definitely our learning experiences are definitely things we share with our kids. They don't always listen to us, but they certainly at least hear it from us at least once.
Did you always listen to your parents?
My father and I we're like oil and vinegar. We just didn't mix. Had a great affection and love for him, but it never, I always felt like, I don't know if it was true, but I always felt like I couldn't do right. So one of my songs actually features that as part of the, that bumping of heads, that clashing. My mom and I were fine. So yeah, my mom would give me lessons and I would listen to her. But she was a very easygoing. In fact, one of her license plate before she passed away a few years ago were "Be Kind."
Oh, beautiful. Well,
So that's
I
her
spent
soul.
50 years in the family business. And we just sold it last year. And after we sold the family business, I became a full-time musician.
Now, my family business, my father's business was to work for Ford Motor Company his entire life. So we didn't have the amount of dad and kid time. There's 3 children. My dad was always working, so that was a little bit tougher for us to, to kind of mesh with what my dad was going through, because obviously we didn't have that experience. As children especially, we wouldn't have the knowledge and experience. So it was a little bit tougher. Mom, she was home a lot more. She worked at a local store, one of those little, I think it was Krauser's Market for a while, Somerset Farms Market for a while, one of these little milk stores, basically. And, so we got to see Mom all the time, as opposed to Dad, who we never saw.
Yeah.
That was harder to get those lessons.
Yeah, no, I was working like after school. I had my job after school from 8th grade on. Actually, same year I picked up the guitar. And after college, I went straight into the company.
That's good. I feel that I missed a lot of that. We lived out in the sticks. We had no, for me, just to go into town was a 2.5 mile walk. And I wasn't allowed to make that walk because my dad said, no, I don't want you going downtown by yourself. I'm a teenager. I'm not allowed to go out. So it was tough. It was, again, my dad and I bumped heads. That was one of the things we bumped heads about. So I think that we have reached the end of what I had to ask you. However, do you have anything that you would like to tell our viewers, anything that you would like to encourage them to do as far as the dulcimer, which I know is a very important piece of your life today. So this is your chance to shine.
Okay. Well, a surprising number of people have a dulcimer in their closet, and just take it out and tune it up and try and pick out a tune on it. If you want some ideas, reach out to me and I will get you a couple of tunes. I'll maybe even give you a free lesson online to just get you started. I do teach private lessons. I do teach courses online. I'm teaching a great rock and roll dulcimer course right now. We've talked about Woodstock. We've talked about the Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones used dulcimers on about 3 songs that they recorded. I talked about Joni Mitchell and Cyndi Lauper and Dolly Parton, all of whom perform with dulcimers. Dulcimers are out in the world. And also just find music that you love and try it on any instrument. And so those are sort of the platform things I wanted to say. I'm happy to talk about anything else you have any last questions about.
No, I think we've covered everything. I do want to encourage our viewers that go to the website, go to the YouTube channel. There are a lot of things that you can learn from Sam, and so don't hesitate to reach out. And I'm sure that there are a number of contact methods available to you on the website or through YouTube or what's the other thing? Facebook.
Yep.
So don't hesitate
and
to
also
reach
my
out.
website has a contact me page.
And there you go.
And the YouTube, I mean, the latest video I have on there at the moment is a classical piano piece, spinning song that my sister had in piano lessons as a kid. I've got some heavy metal. I've got the Star Spangled Banner. I've got some Gilbert and Sullivan, a little bit for everybody.
Right. I noticed you had sent me a list of a couple of things. One of them was a parody of a Hank Williams song, Hall of Fame. And then there was another one, Bruce Springsteen's song, Born to Run. So these are all things that you can hear out there if you take the time to go to the YouTube channel. There are lots and lots of great stuff.
Yep.
So, Sam, thanks so much for being with me today.
Oh, Joe, thank you for having me. This was fun.
I really enjoyed it, and I hope that we get to see you live and in person. We've been talking on Zoom for a while now, and it's time to start getting back out in the world, right?
Well, the Troubadour is going live in person every week starting at the beginning of April. They've got an open stage on April 1st. They've got a special concert with Tom Paxton on April 8th, Tom Paxton and the Don Juans. And then 3 more programs later in April, and I'm hoping to get to at least 2, maybe 3 of them.
Well, that should the various concerts that are coming up. I know people are just chomping at the bit to get out to them, and it's well worth doing, especially if you have the health and you're well vaccinated up and ready to get out into the world again.
And I am absolutely vaxxed and boosted. And when they put out more boosters, I'm going to take more boosters.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to be going. I'm going to be going this week for one, so that I'll be doing the same thing.
I do it.
Everybody, I want to thank you for listening to us today, and this is it for the show. One of the things that just remember, every 2 weeks we come out with a new edition of the show. Sometimes it'll be music from Horses Sing None of It, and sometimes it'll be a guest like Sam today. And we'll try to do our best to get you as many new guests as we can, but sometimes we have to fall back on some of the old stuff. Life gets in the way at times. Thank you again, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks again, Joe.
Take care, everyone.